The Taiping Rebellion, 1850 to 1864, was one of the bloodiest conflicts in history, a civil war in China that killed millions and nearly toppled the Qing Dynasty. The Taiping Rebellion emerged in a period of intense social, economic, and political turmoil in mid-19th century China. The Qing Dynasty, ruled by the Manchus, was weakening due to internal corruption, population pressures, economic stagnation, and external pressures from Western powers, particularly after the First Opium War, 1839 to 1842. The Treaty of Nanjing, 1842, forced China to open ports, cede Hong Kong, and pay indemnities, fueling resentment among the Chinese populace, especially in the south. The rebellion's leader, Xiuquan, was a failed scholar from a Hakka family in Guangdong province. After repeatedly failing the imperial civil service exams, Hong experienced visions in 1837, interpreting them as divine revelations. Influenced by Christian missionary tracts, he believed he was the younger brother of Jesus Christ, chosen by God to establish a heavenly kingdom on earth. Hong's syncretic ideology blended Christian millenarianism with Chinese folk religion and anti-Manchu sentiment, appealing to the disenfranchised, particularly peasants and marginalized groups. In the 1840s, Hong began preaching his vision, gaining followers among the poor and disaffected in Guangxi province. By 1850, his movement, the God-worshipping society, had grown into a disciplined, zealous force, combining religious fervor with anti-Qing rebellion. The rebellion begins in 1850. Hong's followers clashed with local militias in Guangxi, marking the start of the rebellion. The Taipings, as they became known from their goal of establishing the Taiping Tianhua, or Heavenly Kingdom of Great Peace, rapidly organized into a theocratic military structure. Hong declared himself the Heavenly King, and his lieutenants, such as Yang Xiuqan the East King, and Wei Changhui, the North King, held both military and spiritual authority. The Taiping's early success stemmed from their discipline, ideological appeal, and ability to exploit Qing weaknesses. They enforced strict moral codes, banned opium, and promised land redistribution, attracting peasants suffering from poverty and corruption. By 1851, they captured the town of Xiuquan, where Hong formally proclaimed the Taiping Heavenly Kingdom. In 1852 to 1853, the Taipings broke out of Guangxi, marching north through Hunan and Hubei. Their forces swelled to tens of thousands, including women's battalions, a radical departure from traditional Chinese norms. In March 1853, they captured Nanjing, a major city and former imperial capital, renaming it Tianjing, Heavenly Capital, and establishing it as their base. The Qing government, hampered by ineffective leadership and a poorly equipped military, failed to contain the rebellion's spread. The Taiping leadership was plagued by infighting. In 1856, Yang Xiuqan, a key leader, was assassinated in a power struggle orchestrated by Wei Changhui, who was later executed by Hong. This Tianjing incident decimated the Taiping's most capable leaders and sowed distrust. Externally, the Taipings launched campaigns to expand their territory. In 1853 to 1856, they sent expeditions north and west, aiming to capture Beijing and consolidate central China. The northern expedition failed due to overextension and harsh winters, while the western campaign saw mixed success, capturing cities like Wuhan temporarily. The Qing, meanwhile, relied on regional armies, notably the Xiang army led by Xiuquan, a Confucian scholar official who mobilized local militias to counter the Taipings. By the late 1850s, the Qing began to recover, bolstered by Xiuquan's disciplined forces and financial support from customs revenues in treaty ports. Western powers, initially neutral, grew wary of the Taiping's radical ideology and its potential to disrupt trade. The Taiping's destruction of traditional Chinese culture and their unorthodox Christianity alienated Western missionaries, who had initially seen potential in their movement. In 1860, the Second Opium War, 1856 to 1860, further weakened the Qing, but it also brought foreign intervention against the Taipings. British and French forces, protecting their commercial interests, supported the Qing. The ever-victorious army, a Western-trained and Chinese-staffed force led by figures like Frederick Townsend Ward and later Charles Gordon, played a key role in recapturing Taiping-held cities. The Taipings made a final push in 1860 to 1862, nearly capturing Shanghai, but were repelled by combined Qing and foreign forces. Hong's cousin, Hong Rengan, proposed modernizing reforms, railways, banks, and Western-style governance, but these came too late to reverse the tide. By 1863, the Taipings were on the defensive. Zhenghua Xiang army systematically besieged Taiping strongholds, cutting off supplies. Nanjing, under siege for over a year, fell on July 19, 1864, after a brutal campaign. Hong Xiuquan died in June 1864, likely by suicide or illness, and his son, Hong Tianguangfu, was captured and executed. The city's fall was catastrophic, with massacres and destruction on both sides. Smaller Taiping remnants continued fighting until 1868, but the rebellion was effectively crushed. The Qing reasserted control, though at immense cost. The Taiping Rebellion was one of the deadliest conflicts in history, with estimates of 20 to 70 million deaths, including combatants, civilians, and those killed by famine and disease. Entire regions, especially Jiangsu and Zhejiang, were devastated, with populations plummeting and economies shattered. The Taiping Rebellion was both a religious crusade and a social revolution, driven by economic despair and anti-Manchu nationalism. Hong Xiuquan's charisma and utopian vision galvanized millions, but internal divisions, strategic errors, and the lack of a sustainable governance model doomed the movement. The Qing's victory came at the cost of exposing their own fragility, setting the stage for China's turbulent 20th century.